An original podcast from podlatino.com.
Hidden among the hills of South America lies a field that carries the weight of centuries. From a distance, it looks like nothing more than an overgrown meadow, dotted with weeds and broken stones. But to those who know its name, it is one of the most feared places in the region, the cemetery without graves. Once, this was sacred ground. Generations of villagers brought their dead here, laying them to rest beneath handmade crosses and carved headstones. Families would return each year to honor them with flowers, candles, and prayers. The cemetery was not only a place of mourning, but a place of memory where the living remained tied to the dead. But war came, and with it, desecration. In the mid-19th century, soldiers swept through the region. They razed villages, burned homes, and turned the cemetery into a battlefield. Graves were destroyed beneath cannon fire. Headstones were shattered and crosses splintered. The earth was torn open, and the dead were left exposed. When the fighting ended, nothing remained but broken ground and silence. Locals tried to rebuild, but the damage was too great. Many families never returned. Over time, weeds reclaimed the field. Stones sank into the soil. The names vanished. The cemetery became a place without markers, without order, without graves. Yet the dead were not gone. Travelers began to report strange occurrences. Farmers who worked the nearby land claimed they heard crying at night, soft at first, then rising into wails that carried across the valley. Shepherds spoke of shadows moving through the grass, tall as men but without faces. Some swore they saw lines of figures walking in silence, as if still in procession toward their burial ground. By the early 20th century, the cemetery was abandoned entirely. Priests warned parishioners not to go near it. One wrote in his diary that during a midnight vigil, he heard footsteps circling him, though no one was there. When he prayed aloud, the footsteps stopped, but a woman's voice whispered his name. Legends say the ground is cursed, that those buried there cannot rest because their graves were destroyed, their names forgotten. Without headstones, they are trapped between worlds, unable to move on. The living who enter the field risk being claimed by them, their souls pulled into the soil to join the nameless dead. Archaeologists who visited the site decades later confirmed the presence of human remains beneath the field. Bones were scattered, disordered, broken. Many had no coffins at all, only traces of cloth long rotted away. Yet even in daylight, the team reported unease. Tools went missing, compasses spun without reason, and one researcher fainted after claiming she heard children crying underground. Modern visitors describe sudden chills, even in the heat of summer. Electronic devices fail. Photographs reveal blurs of light that resemble human shapes. A group of hikers once camped nearby and awoke to find footprints circling their tent, dozens of them pressed into the soil, though no one else had been there. The most chilling accounts come from locals who live within sight of the field. They tell of hearing names called at night, sometimes their own, sometimes those of their relatives. Dogs refused to enter, howling at the edge of the grass. One farmer admitted he plowed part of the land, hoping to plant maize, only to abandon it when he began finding bones in his furrows. He left offerings of bread and water to ask forgiveness. The cemetery. Without graves is not marked on maps. It is spoken of quietly, a reminder of history that was both erased and never forgotten. Its silence is heavy, its presence undeniable. Those who stand in the field feel watched, surrounded by the invisible congregation of the dead. Some believe the only way to release the souls would be to rebuild the cemetery, to raise crosses again and give the nameless their due. But others fear that the spirits have grown too restless, too angry, and that disturbing the ground further would unleash what still sleeps beneath. So the field remains, empty to the eye, but full to the heart. A cemetery without graves, where the living dare not linger and the dead refuse to leave. Tonight, as we step away from its borders, the silence follows us. And we remember the words spoken by a villager long ago. There are no graves here, but there are still the dead.